Good morning, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. We are on location here at Bell Park, Bell Bank Park. I don't know why I'm
It's
having
a
a hard time
mouthful.
saying that this morning. And I have the amazing Austin Jacks here with us, who is the executive director of Legacy Cares and the owner of Bank Park. I don't know why I can't say that, but welcome to our show this morning, Austin.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So, I mean, with all that entails, what exactly do we do out here with Legacy Cares and Bell Bank Park? Got it right.
Absolutely. So Legacy Cares is the owner and operator here at Bell Bank Park. We employ just over 550 individuals that work for us. And it's divided really into two segments. We have our sports area that's ran by our sports partner. And then we have our events, conferences, concerts, and activations ran by another group called the Oakview Group. This idea really came from a family. A dad was walking around a ball field, and him and his two sons were at different stadiums, at different complexes. Him and mom had to trade off who's watching who, go cool the kids down, go get them hydrated. And it kind of dawned on him, it would be great if there was an all-inclusive facility where we never had to leave for the day. And it's something a lot of parents in youth sports right now struggle with. You might have kids in different sports or in different cities, and, families are getting split up, and it becomes difficult. And, with the rising cost of gas, expensive too. So the idea of Bell Bank Park came from that. And we have officially become the largest youth sports complex in North America. With over 320 acres of space to work with, we have everything you can imagine. I mean, if you can put the Disney worldwide of sports inside of us, it would fit. And that's probably the closest comparison I can make. We have everything from a concert lawn to 45 pickleball courts and a pickleball stadium. We have 36 soccer fields. I have 18 basketball courts. I have over 20 volleyball courts. I have a cheer, gymnastics, dance studio. I've got a performance center. We even have a zip line that runs through the nucleus of the park called the Toyota Zip Line. And we are also now most notably known for the largest sports bar in Arizona called the GOAT, greatest of all time, of course.
Of course.
And
Is
that's
that
here.
after Tom Brady, by the way? So
No.
not to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. That's just, I think our founders thought that was just a catchy idea, because
Right.
this is one of the greatest facilities of all time. We actually even just installed our version of Top Golf, which is a golf simulator, just across the way from the studio that we are in right now on site.
Right.
Really incredible asset. And the greatest challenge that I was posed with when I took this position over for Legacy Cares is, how do we make this available to every child and family that otherwise could not afford it?
Right.
And in this last 12 months, that's exactly what we've done. We have made it our job to make sure that those families and kids that can't afford to be in a state-of-the-art complex that is Bell Bank Park have that opportunity, whether it's us offering a scholarship, whether it's us donating a free field or court or event space to them. We're making things more affordable. Now, that's not to say that our for-profit clients aren't coming in and renting out facilities at what the minimum is. But for those organizations that are classified as a 501c3, it's our way of giving back and having them engage with a facility that they otherwise would not have access to.
Right.
You look back to when you're younger, and I know when I was playing ball, I was a football player, a wrestler, and baseball player, and my parents kept us active. And, we didn't have the most money in the world. So fundraising to pay your dues to play on that team, fundraising to travel with that team, transportation, especially for groups and teams, is always a huge expenditure.
Right.
And it's something that we took a closer look at and just said, how can we alleviate a lot of that concern? And that's what we have done, and we're starting to do. Some of the most vulnerable communities in our state, and those at-risk youth, which is the famous sort of brand that people want to give for vulnerable communities, is kids in foster homes and foster families. Right. They're juggling a lot at once. We want to make sure that they have this opportunity as an outlet. We also work with families that are in transition centers from homeless to getting a full-time job. Actually, just across the way on the other side of Mesa Gateway Airport from where we are, there's a group called House of Refuge, and they have nearly 200 families transitioning to full-time work with them. And that's not counting all the kids.
Right.
So we invite them here. We bring them in. We say, go play some sports for a while,
Mm-hmm.
something that they're not typically used to. And like I said, it's our way of giving back. And I could list off the 100 things we've been doing lately this last year, but it's been a really incredible adventure for myself and my entire team to see. And we're just grateful from the support we've had from all of our community partners in the state, from our donors, the foundations that support us, and more notably, our sponsors. For instance, we're in Talking Stick Studio right now.
Right.
We're grateful for them providing this opportunity into groups like you to come in and do this type of work.
Right. And so the biggest event that you've had here this week is with the Roman Gabriel Sold Out Youth Foundation done for this week. So that was a powerful event. I don't know how many kids actually showed up here that night on Tuesday night, but I mean, that's powerful. What you're doing out here is incredible, and helping those families, helping, like you said, nonprofits come out here, giving them the opportunity to use the spaces, and make it a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, and that's an interesting story, how the football camp sort of came to fruition.
Right.
When I took this role on last year, just before the park opened on February 4th, I made a conscious effort to say 501c3 organizations are constantly fundraising against each other.
Mm-hmm.
What if we eliminate that barrier and just partner and create an ecosystem where we're all thriving as one?
Right.
It's something that I've seen a lot in my career as a professional fundraiser in the past, and someone who's worked in several startups, is let's kind of work in tandem to get the same job done, because we all want the same end goal, which is to make sure that kids are thriving in whatever they're doing. And in doing so, I was introduced to Roman, and he had a very exciting program called the Drug and Alcohol Abstinence Pledge. And I thought that was needed here at the park. With as much traffic as we have come through here, I thought it was crucial. Let's encourage our kids to take this pledge, and we'll adopt it as a program.
Right.
So that's where we started. And you've probably seen posters all over my facility that have that pledge with the QR code. Kids are taking it all the time. And from there, Rowan and I got together and said, well, what else can we do? And we both said, well, Super Bowl's coming up. How about a camp? And so we both decided, let's do a free kids football camp and advertise it as free.
Right.
So we partnered together. CARES donated the space. We also worked with Raising Cane's Chicken to donate meals to all the kids that night, and had a variety of coaches, trainers, and players come out to our soccer stadium, actually, which we retrofitted into a football stadium for the camp this week. And we had just about 100 kids attend, which is great because CARES doesn't do a whole lot of mass marketing, but what we do is I have a lot of conversations with groups, with families that come on site, and other organizations that want to use this asset. And so that's how we came to 100. And Roman did a speech on his drug and alcohol abstinence pledge there. And the kids, they had a great time. I mean, I've had parents calling and texting me. How they got my cell phone number, I have no idea, but they're endorsing how great CARES is. And I really could not be prouder of the team for putting that together. And we hope to continue to do that every year, and as much as we reasonably can.
Right. Well, I always say where there's a will, there's a way. So if somebody wants your phone number, they're going to get it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's incredible. Yeah. Just seeing the facility out here has been incredible. I love the zip line that you said that was there. And I did peek my eyes into the window over there to see the studios that you have over there. Great. Great facility out here. So definitely, if you're in the Phoenix area, or Mesa, I guess we're out here in Mesa. I'm all messed up. I've been from every part of Phoenix or Arizona, and within like a 40-minute radius, I think 3 times this week already.
And we often like to call it the greater Phoenix area, because Arizona is very different than other states because we're so flat in the desert.
Right.
The famous saying is, it's 15 minutes away. So every time we have a tourist or visitor here, I say, it's 15 minutes. And it really is.
It really is. Like, seriously, I can get to where we're staying at to here anywhere within 15, 20 minutes. With, of course, without the traffic.
No, it's quite nice.
But absolutely incredible what you're out here doing. Now, how are you guys funded then?
So In two different ways. One, we do a lot of on-site fundraising. So 50-50 raffles that you see at stadiums and arenas throughout the countries,
Mhm.
even racetracks. We've
Right.
kind of adopted that model with the number of visitors that come in through the park. That's a really great way for us to fundraise. In addition to that, these partnerships really help extend our dollar so that we're combining resources, kind of what I was talking about earlier. So then I'm not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to launch a drug and alcohol abstinence program. Someone
Right.
like Roman Gabriel would give that to me.
Right.
And then we would help advertise, boost his engagement, and then also strengthen our program areas. Another way is private donors and foundations. So we are constantly fundraising. And a big misconception people have about Bell Bank Park is we are flush with cash to give away to the community. In actuality, CARES actually does not utilize any of the funding that comes through the park for its programs. We have to fundraise that separately.
Mhm.
So not only are we running a charity at this facility and owning this facility for charitable purposes, but we're also fundraising on our own.
Mhm.
So, like I said, we do that through foundations, through corporate giving, through individual, very generous individuals here in the state,
Right.
in the 50-50 raffles that help drive revenue, and partnerships in terms of revenue shares for different things are a big area that we do. The last decade of my career has been in fundraising. So this is kind of my specialty and part of the reason they brought me on. And
Right.
we designed programs in such a way that they were affordable to us, but they made a huge impact outside of that. And what has ended up happening is even some corporations are coming to us saying, okay, well, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to run this program for us.
Right.
And that helps fuel the cost of what we're doing.
Right.
Just this last year, we launched the Play It Forward grant program
Mhm.
through Bell Bank, where we gave $40,000 in investment direct back into the community for nonprofit organizations working with kids in youth sports
Right.
and those that had small budgets. Um, so that's something exciting we did. And then more recently, we've learned a lot about what the state is doing to help some of these at-risk youth and troubled teens. And
Right.
one group in specific is the Vocational Rehabilitation Department of the state of Arizona.
Right.
They actually work with larger companies or organizations like ours to encourage employment of young adults with autism and other developmental disabilities.
Mhm.
So we thought that was a great idea for us to engage on. And what we notice a lot of other companies in the state do is those young adults, they're doing janitorial activities, they're cleaning up, they're doing things like that. We took it a step further and said, let's get you in front of customers.
Mhm.
Let's embrace your social skills and your ability to have social interactions so that you can build a resume to go somewhere. And maybe that's working at an arena somewhere else. I don't
Right.
know. So we launched the Not Your Typical Workforce program. Recently, I was on Good Morning Arizona talking about this with our partners at Not Your Typical Deli.
Mhm.
Um, and we've launched this and it's been really successful, and the
Mhm.
state is covering the cost of those kids to come and work with us in various capacities.
Mhm.
They're doing ticketing, they're doing field changeovers where they're turning a soccer field into a football field, like
Mhm.
what we did for the camp.
Right.
They're also interfacing with our different coaches and trainers to see, this is how you manage equipments or a gym.
Mhm.
They're doing things that are building on their social skills. And what was really important to me during this process, that my entire team was autism certified, for
Right.
which Legacy Cares is, which
Right.
is a huge accomplishment. And it's not cheap to get that training done either. So that's something we had to fundraise for, but was very necessary in our first year. And it's a training you have to repeat every 12 months. So
Right.
that was crucial to launching this program. And it's something that we're very proud of. It's the only program of its kind in the state. And we hope eventually, long term, to be the largest employer of young adults with autism in the state, let alone the country.
Wow.
Because this is unique.
Mhm.
Even in April, we're going to host a night to shine prom
Right.
for these guys. And, prom is not something that area of kids were able to do in high school.
Right.
And so it's something that we really want to do to give back to them and show them that you're capable of doing anything.
Mhm.
And it's one thing that I really see as an ongoing trend in the charitable world is how can we empower these young adults to just be better and realize untapped potential.
Right.
I've heard trainers talk about untapped potential before when it comes to athletes, but it applies across the board. And we really try to foster that personal growth with these kids.
Absolutely, teaching kids to be unstoppable at an early age
Yeah,
is something, right? That hence why this show, right?
absolutely.
A,
And that
lo-
was
a lot of
coincidental.
us go through life, and life lets us down over and over again. But it's what you do with those lessons in those moments, and not to give up, right? To keep going, right? And that's a great example of what you got out here. If one avenue of fundraising doesn't work, then you get another one,
Absolutely.
and tapping into any government program that could help you guys as well too, right? I mean, you're doing such amazing things out here for the community, and to be able to have that community give back as well, I think is important, because I think, at least my lesson for this year is everybody wins.
Hmm. I love
If
that.
it's not a situation that not everybody wins, then really it's a lot of us, it's been like one-sided. But this year, I know, we at Unstoppable Overcomers Productions have adopted the theory that everybody wins or no one wins, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I love about it, and in it, and giving up what that looks like, but just knowing that, the reciprocity is there in some form or
Hmm.
another. So, what you guys are doing out here is great, and you're helping so many youth in your community that I know it's going to give back for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A hundredfold.
I always like to tell parents that come and meet with us and want to get involved is, you know, the highest rate of crime in America right now is actually between the hours of 2:30 and 6. And
Wow.
everybody wonders why that is. Well,
Kids getting out of school with
exactly.
nowhere to do,
Yeah.
go or do.
And mom and dad aren't home yet.
Yeah.
So, what can we do to reduce that and provide opportunity essentially for those kids to stay out of trouble?
Hmm.
Um, growing up, my parents instilled in us that we had to be busy. If you're not playing sports full time, then you're getting a job full time.
Yeah.
And, I think right now it's really tough for single parents to do that, and others who just don't have the capacity to take kids to and from practices and things like that. So let us take that burden off of you.
Right.
Let us provide that opportunity so you can pick your kid up when you get off of work. And
Hmm.
then they get a fun activity. They get to exercise, be outside, doing team sports, and really building that camaraderie. Because
Right.
even during the pandemic, during the pandemic, we built this giant asset, which is pretty incredible, judging
Right.
by everything that happened.
Right.
Um, but we we noticed there was a really high rate of suicide among teens and young adults during that time.
Right.
And I also have a background in behavioral health, so I've studied this extensively. And you know, parents are asking why is that. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because kids are no longer in the classroom having that social interaction. They
Hmm.
were bogged down in their bedrooms in single family units, and they were on a computer screen interfacing with one another. So another goal of ours became we need to get those kids back out.
Right.
They need that social interaction. Kids need that for development. When
Yes.
you have a kid, the doctor tells you immediately, oh, social interaction is great,
Yes.
because a baby learns. That's how they learn to talk and to interact and have social skills. That same rule applies until they're a teenager or an adult.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to work on that to get those kids back out, back on the field, back in team settings, and it's working. And we're seeing kids really excel in our programs. We run a performance mentor program the first Saturday of every month. It's free. It's open to the public. Anybody who's listening in Mesa or Phoenix, please sign up. It's on our website at legacycaresinc.org. And we have a former Olympian work with these kids for 2 hours. They do a quick workout, and then they do goal setting and mentorship. So
Wow.
they're focusing on personal growth. Where
Hmm.
do you want to go? What's your goal for the next month? Do you want to excel in school? Do
Hmm.
you want to practice more? Do you want to become a better pitcher on your baseball team? What
Right.
is that? And the gentleman who runs that, his name's Dan O'Brien. He's the former Olympic gold medalist for the decathlon.
Hmm.
And he's also on my board of directors. Very grateful for Dan's support. And in working with these kids, he calls it a Jedi training. He kind of walks them through how to master the art of being a goal setter and working on personal growth. It's just great opportunities for these kids.
Right. And that is so awesome. And just getting back to what you first said, just now, about the rate of suicide with children,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine, because when the pandemic first hit, I was one of the first ones to stay at home with my stepson. His mom and I took turns. And so there was a period of like 2 months where I was there with him homeschooling, which was a joke. And he was so, his attention span is so short to begin with, and trying to learn that way. And so the pressure of that, the pressure of not being able to see his friends, his, being in school in that environment. And, we tried to keep as much we don't watch the news in our house, and that's a good thing, because I didn't want his head filled with that and filled with fear. What ended up happening is there was a little bit of fear in there, and because his mom works in an environment where there's she's like a PSW, where it's trying to keep the elderly safe. So she works with the elderly, and so trying to keep everybody safe in both households, and the added stress of that, and him not being able to see his friends. There was a time that it was just like, it was very, well, it's not only stressful for us, but it was stressful for him. And I had to keep in mind, as an adult, I can barely process this. What is it like for him? Him not really knowing him. We're as an adult, we have to protect him. But then, and I can see why the suicide rate would be so high amongst our kids, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. Because isolation is not good for anybody, let alone children. They have to get outside and play. And where I'm from in Canada, like, we were completely locked down to the point where you couldn't leave unless you're going to the work or the grocery store. And so I can just imagine, and building this park out here at the beginning of the pandemic, I was just like, kudos to you guys for making it work, right? And because that is huge alone. And now giving these kids the opportunity to say, wait a minute, I don't want you to get in trouble. Come out here. We'll get you. And activity is great for kids, right? The physical activity they need, plus you're giving them the mental and emotional wellness. Thank you. And so that's just great what you guys are doing out here. Like, I can't, I wish, okay, so if anybody in Canada is watching this right now, we need to put this in Canada. Maybe you should be international. Maybe you should make one.
That's an idea.
Windsor's a huge, I'm from Windsor, Ontario. So Windsor's kind of huge. And I think that would be great to have everything under one roof. I mean, yeah, we have arenas, and yes, we have football team fields, but to have everything in one place and giving the kids mental wellness on top of that would be great. So just something to think about.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because I get the question all the time. Well, what don't you have? Well, we don't have water and we don't have ice. So that addresses that concern a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And then I just wanted to fine tune one point there when we're talking about the pandemic is, we partner with Copa Health on a suicide prevention forum every year. They've been a great partner of ours. They're a national healthcare group. And in talking with some of their leadership earlier on last year, we crossed this subject, and we all kind of sat around the table, and I said, kids and parents don't realize the value of recess. And the kids look at it, oh, okay, I get to get out of the classroom for a minute. Yeah, that's right. But you're actually still learning when you're out on that playground.
Yes.
You're having the interaction, you're building relationships, you're doing physical activities, you're on the monkey bars. If kids still have monkey bars, we had them when I was in school, or the slides or swings or things like that. And it builds on top of that. So there's a lot of things about being in person in our public school education system that people really need to take a closer look at. And I think recess is one of them. And I look at us as an extension of that. We are forever recess. So come on out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time here, Austin, today. And by the way, I love the name Austin.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's my firstborn nephew's name, and he's my world too. So whenever I get in communication with an Austin, I'm like, yeah, there's another good guy.
Oh, I love that. Not a bad name.
It's not a bad name at all.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. Love what you guys are about and what you're doing on this channel. So thanks so much for hosting us. And for everybody tuning in, if you want to learn more about us, Legacy Cares Inc. inc.com or .org. We just got that domain as well. So please check us out. We have a contact form on there. And if you're local here in Arizona, we'd love to get your kids involved with us. Every single program has a sign-up form. So it's just a matter of checking of your eligibility. And if you're a 501c3, I personally would love to talk with you. So please get in contact with us.
Absolutely. So let's make this a win-win situation for everybody out there. Get your kids the help that they need, and definitely help the park out here, because it is an amazing facility out here. Even just to come out here and see for yourself, right? Seeing is believing, and knowledge is power. And so, whatever we can do to help Legacy Cares out here, in the Phoenix area, definitely, that's what we're here for, to help you guys. And if there's anything else we can do, just let us know. Um, but thank you so much for coming on our show today. Really appreciate you. And yeah, for those of you watching, come out on here to Legacy. It's One Legacy Drive, in Mesa.
Mesa,
And
Arizona.
Mesa, there we go. So with that, have an amazing day, guys. Be unstoppable in all that you do, and stay blessed.